many of the front pages this morning saying, actually, Prince Harry is simply not going to be made welcome. Just what's your reading of this?
Well, I think there is the question. He almost wants to be back to his half in, half out scenario. That's what people, probably members of the royal family and the sort of people in the royal household, saying this won't work. And this was always the problem, and something the late Queen always said: you can't have eat it both ways and have your cake and eat it almost. And so I think that's really the reaction that we're getting from the sources within the royal family, that this is not going to be a practical solution, even though Harry says, well, he's going to be nipping over to the UK when he's traveling, that he will make effort to go and see his father. But it's not going to be a practical solution. How do you make it work? Yes, they are short of personnel to fulfill royal duties, but I don't think Harry is going to be able to help out in this capacity because of the impractical. Because when does he suddenly say, well, I've had enough now, and do I to go back to America? There are so many problems because the royal programme takes a long time to organise, and they're maybe thinking 6-7 months ahead. So when does Harry say, I've had enough? That's really how it can't really work, whatever the situation is with his father.
The Sun on Sunday reporting that Prince Harry was stopped from joining the King at Sandringham after flying to the UK because the palace aides feared they would, quote, never be able to get rid of him, which is quite interesting in itself. Now, let's turn our attention to this story about Prince William, saying that he's going to build and fund £3 million social housing development on his land in Cornwall. What do we know about this plan?
Well, the idea is a suburb of Newquay, building a number of houses for the homeless in Cornwall, which does have a problem. And we know homelessness is close to William's heart. He's always been, we've seen him when he goes out and helps with selling Big Issue and working with various other projects. And this is his sort of cause célèbre, is trying to help the homeless in this country. And with the profits and the money that the Duchy of Cornwall generates, he is going to fund the building of this project to help the people of Newquay and the surrounding area. So it's a bold project, but it's something that he's absolutely committed to. And it's interesting that you see this week, with Harry being at the Invictus Games, something that he is passionate about and promoting the next event there, the same week we get the PR from the Williams camp saying, well, look what we're up to. This is what, and we're helping the people of this country because it's something that William is passionate about. So there is always a bit of a PR battle between the two camps, and it certainly has continued this week.
Gosh, interesting. Yeah, interesting insight there. I was also interested to know, I mean, looking at these have been planned very much in detail, these houses. I mean, looking at things like the infrastructure, making sure these are very much going to be new low carbon houses as well.
Absolutely, and very much with the sort of environment in the mind. For William, he wants to make sure that they are the sort of new look housing that is taking into account all the sort of modern developments and making them fit for purpose in an environmentally friendly kind of way. So I don't think it's not just going to be putting up any old houses and just, well, get on with it. I think there is a real sense of purpose, wants to give them a look that creates a sense of belonging for the people who will be allowed to live in those houses and the opportunities that it affords them. So that's very much at the heart of what he's trying to create down in Cornwall, in Newquay, in this suburb. So I think we've got to say it's a positive thing. Just as Harry going to the Invictus Games and promoting that's a positive thing, this is something William is really committed to it, and one of his sort of big projects that he wants to be involved in. So while he may not be, as they say, out on the front line as he looks after his wife and indeed and his father, he is still getting on with the work behind the scenes, although we will see him tonight at the BAFTAs award ceremony, for which he is president.
And it's interesting as well with this project, this housing project, he's very much focused on the idea of combating the stigma of social housing. And presumably, is he hoping that this will set an example for other landowners? And there are some big landowners in this country to essentially follow his lead.
I think that is very much at the heart of it. He doesn't want this to be a one-off. He wants to see that there is a long-term potential to help the homeless, and he would be expecting other people to try and do something on these lines. He's setting a template. Look, he's putting the money that the Duchy of Cornwall generates is significant. So they're not short of funds, but it seemed to be going into something that will have a practical use and working in a way that feels positive and looking forward, not just saying, right, we're just going to stick up, as you say, a few bit of social housing and then leave the people to get on with it. No, there's going to be you get the feeling this has a real sense of long term about it, and he would like to see other people try and do something similar.
And I was interested as well, it's almost like a sort of responsible landlord, if you like, because it's not just the infrastructure and the fact that these are going to be low carbon homes. There's also going to be what are being described as wraparound services, so things like mental health support for the people who are living in these homes.
Yes, and I think we know mental health is another aspect of William's life that he's very concerned about and is openly talking about it and wants to help other people. So it's all part of his, I suppose, inner beliefs, the things that he feels most passionate about. So all the aspects of not, as I say, not just dumping people into a house, but to help people in all aspects of trying to get back up the ladder again, the social ladder. So giving support. Because if you just leave people, say, give them a nice house, but how do they make sure that they don't lapse back or whatever happens? So I think it is very important that it's seen to have a holistic effect as well. And that's, I think he's very mindful and wants to always see projects that have a long-term benefit rather than just a temporary short-term gain.